Most of us spend about a third of our lives asleep, and too many of us, when we're out hiking, spend about the same amount of time definitely not sleeping, tossing and turning and wishing we could just be in our own bed. But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. There's a lot of small things that you can do to improve your sleep, and I'm a firm believer that putting some effort into getting the best sleep can make a big difference in the quality of your days as well. So here are our 10 tips for better sleep on the trail. Bedrooms usually don't get significantly colder as the night wears on, but tents do. And it's easy to get caught in a loop of waking up cold and then close the zip of your sleeping bag all the way, wake up again, close the drawstring, wake up again to put on your fleece and so on. It's usually better to go to sleep slightly overdressed so the cold doesn't keep on waking you up. Especially if your sleeping bag or quilt is on the short side, wearing a buff can really add to your comfort. If your pillow lacks height, then you can use a buff to bunch together some clothes into an extra pillow. And personally, I like to close the sides of the buff to keep me from having to restuff it in the middle of the night. Part of why we sleep so poorly on the trail is because our body hasn't quite gotten used to our sleep system. You may not get away with sleeping in a sleeping bag next to your partner, but swapping your regular pillow for your camping pillow now and then might be all you need to get better sleep on the trail. Few things mess with your mind like sleeping on a spot that isn't quite level. So make sure you find a spot that's level enough, even if it does take a bit longer. If you can't find one without an incline, sleeping with your head in the highest spot will probably make you least uncomfortable. Okay, some people are understandably gonna be grossed out by this, but the whole process of getting out of your sleeping bag and tent and finding a suitable spot far enough from the camping site can make it hard to get back to sleep afterwards. Especially in summer, there is a lot to be said for getting up early and doing as much distance as you can before it gets too hot. And that also makes it easier to get to sleep at a reasonable hour since you'll be that much more tired. It is definitely okay to not be 100% clean on the trail. That's just part of the experience. But in hot weather, one thing that I really hate is going to sleep feeling sticky, especially since most sleeping bags or quilts have a synthetic interior like nylon or polyester, and sweat on nylon, to me, that is worse than nails on chalkboard. So make sure you clean up before hitting the sack. There's all kinds of products for this, from ultralight favorites like Dr. Bronner to specialized products like Show and Have. The important thing is to find something that you like, that you don't need a lot of, and if you're weight watching, put it in a small container depending on how long you'll be away from civilization. If it's so hot that you know that you'll be sweating during the night, consider wearing a base layer to bed so you won't get that sweat on nylon feeling. Nature is not always as quiet as you think it'll be. Animals can make a surprising amount of noise, and the same is true for rain falling on your tent. There's always the occasional snoring fellow hiker, and many sleeping mats also make a fairly loud crinkly sound that can keep you awake. Wear them to bed at home to get used to them, and you'll be golden. We haven't talked about sleeping pads yet, and part of the reason is that I don't want to give the impression that every problem needs to be fixed by spending money and buying new gear. But of course, your sleeping pad does matter. We'll probably be doing some sleeping mat reviews in the future, talking about a couple of our favorites, but if I can just give you 2 quick tips, don't settle for bad sleep. Keep searching until you find something that works well for you in terms of thickness, in terms of length and width and sound. This really is an important thing to get right. And secondly, when you found a good mat, experiment with how firmly you inflate it, because I see a lot of people inflating it all the way just to the point of bursting, and that is good in terms of warmth and isolation, but for me at least, it takes a lot of comfort and plushness out of the mat. So that's definitely a personal preference, but just make sure you know what yours is. In the end, the most important thing, I think, is to pay attention to what it is exactly that's keeping you awake and to keep experimenting. I used to hike with a mummy sleeping bag, and while it was definitely warmer, I replaced it with a quilt because I do a lot of tossing and turning, and the hood always got twisted in a way that just really bugged me. So don't just resign yourself to bad sleep. Make small adjustments every trip until you're able to turn all that hard work during the day into deep, refreshing sleep. Alright, that's it for me. I would love to read your sleep on the trail tips in the comments, and see you in the next one.